Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. In this video, we're looking at 10 easy to play major pentatonic licks. So as I mentioned, we're looking at 10 licks off the major pentatonic scale. I'll put all the tab on the screen as we go through them. If you want paper copies, I will make those available over on my Patreon page. All right, you guys, as you can see, the tab is on the screen. Now, all of these licks are going to be in the key of D major. And I found a great backing track that kind of goes along well with these licks, so I will link to that in the video description below. If you just want to try some of these licks in, more of a musical context, grab that backing track and play along too. With these licks to that track. So here we go, lick number 1. Now, as I mentioned, we're in the key of D. That is going to be 10th fret. So we're going to anchor our fingers and most of these licks right around 10th fret. So here we go, lick number 1. Just going through a few notes here. And that's it. And of course you can take those ideas, mix up the notes, kind of make it your own, but it's kind of a nice one to have in your pocket. And of course, sounds really great in the key of D. And this is the major third there. We've got root 2 and 3. So you'll notice lots of these licks kind of, are in and about this area. So that's lick number 1. All right, you guys, for lick number 2, we are going to be doing some sliding from 10 to 12. So same kind of notes that we were using in example 1, but we're going to go back and forth. Just like that, from 10 to 12. And that's the main part of the lick. And then we jump up to 14th fret here, and we're going to do a little half bend, a little semitone bend. And then we're going to end up on the second scale degree. So that's the E note, right? Because we're in D. So there you go. That's the second lick. Love that little lick. I use that all the time. And of course we're in D, so we're on 10th fret, but if we wanted it on C, we'd just move it down 2. So now you're playing a C chord. Now B or an A. And there's something about that little sus4 lick that really creates some beautiful overtones. Okay, so we're kind of combining a few things. We got our slide, just like we did on our previous lick. So if you've been practicing that one, hopefully you can do that with a certain degree of accuracy. But here we go. Let's try this a few times. And you can add some vibrato on that last note. But yeah, just that little chord. Love that. Now, lick number 4 is one of my absolute favorites. You guys hear me play this on the channel all the time. And again, we're based on 10th fret, and we're going to do a double stop slide. So that's a lick I play constantly. Just a wonderful sound to it. And again, some people might like to stack their fingers to slide. That kind of thing. I like to bar it. And then here, you can't really bar it because it's offset. Just like that. And again, you can move that anywhere on the guitar. But if you're on the key of D, we need to be on 10th fret. If you wanted to play it on A, you just go to 5th fret. So again, all these licks are transferable, but try it with that backing track. It sounds really cool. So anyway, yeah, that's one of my absolute favorites. Practice that one. I think it sounds great. So there's lick number 5, another little, twist on those same kind of 4 or 5 notes that we're using for these easy licks. And once you have, a few of these in your back pocket, you're gonna have a ton of ideas, which is awesome. So again, double stops. And this F sharp that we're ending on is the 3rd, so a really important note in the key. You may have, remembered we used that note up higher on an octave up. Well, here we're just an octave lower, right? Same note. There we go. Really important note. So there we go. Let's try that a few times. And again, you can add some vibrato, let that last note ring. But yeah, sometimes, especially when I was learning, sometimes my ring finger would like mute that first string. So make sure you kind of push your wrist forward and get that ring finger on second string without touching first string. That's the key to this one. If your ring finger is too flat, that first string just won't ring. So you need to kind of like push it forward till it rings. Because again, it's got lots of overlapping tones and it sounds really beautiful. All right, for lick number 6, we've got a little bit of a stretch. We're going to go from D on 10th fret all the way up to F sharp on 14th. So this one, I think that's probably like the hardest part of this lick, just getting that stretch. So you might want to just practice that a few times or pause the video and try that a few times. But anyway, here's the lick. Okay. So let's play it a little bit slower. And again, we're ending on that major 3rd, that F sharp. Really makes a good portion of that D chord. That's what causes it to be major rather than minor. Right, minor, major. So that's why I was saying that F sharp note, really important, whether you play it down here or up above. So there you go, that's lick number 6. Now lick number 7 is another bread and butter lick, something that I use constantly. Now what we've done here is we're shifting back 1 position. So we were using position 1 in D major, really focusing on the first 3 strings. Now what we're going to do is bump back and go to position 5. If you know what that means, great. If not, just follow the tab and it will guide you. Now here's the lick. So that's how it starts, and that's why I was saying this is absolutely a bread and butter lick, that I use all the time. So the trick here is to keep that 10th fret, that A note, the same while you bend up the 3rd. So I like to use all my other fingers to help with the bend. So especially if you're not used to bending, or if you have a guitar with like super heavy strings or something like that, I find it always beneficial, instead of just like, doing that one finger, getting everybody involved. That's the lick. And then of course there's that little skip back up to the F sharp there. So yeah, anyway. Very cool lick, and like I said, it's all about kind of anchoring that pinky finger while getting the other ones, used to bending. And there's all sorts of, hundreds of variations of that kind of lick, but that starting is just absolutely classic. Yes, we got our first pentatonic run. That's always super exciting. So here we go. Now I've got an angle so that you guys can see my right hand, because what we're doing is we're going down, up on every string. Right? So you might want to just practice that a bit. Just like that, and then, you know, add the notes. And that's the basis of a lot of, you know, more complex licks. So once you have that, that's, you know, a great thing to have in your back pocket. You know, whether you want to extend it to, you know, higher notes or whatever. You know, combining them and all that stuff. So really useful lick. Let's go through it nice and slow. That's the lick. Now I'll leave it up to you guys whether you want to use your ring finger and your index. The advantage there is, like I said, you know, you can break your pinky in, you know, to future licks. So once you are really comfortable with that, you know, adding your pinky, you know, might give you an advantage. Or if you are more comfortable just using your pinky and that stretch is a little too weird or too hard, feel free to do it either way. There it is again. That's the bend. We're just kind of approaching it from a slightly different angle. Instead of, you know, hitting it all at once, we're doing the 9 bend. And then hitting that A above it and combining. And again, love that, all those overtones. And I realize if you're a new player, some of those bends can be pretty tricky. But that's why we're working on them right off the bat, because they're going to be so helpful and so useful, you know, for you guys moving forward. So there it is. We're just, you know, rocking that major pentatonic in D. Right? Try it one more time. See if you guys can play along with me. Just kind of like blasting that bend. Super cool. And riff number 10 is skipping strings. Now with this lick, you may want to just isolate that first skip until that feels, you know, fairly comfortable, and then do, you know, the 3rd string to 2nd string. And thankfully it's the same movement, just down a string. And then you can combine them, of course. Just like that. And then the whole riff, nice and slow. And it's a great launching point for a bunch of different licks. You know, it just kind of breaks it up or starts a lick in a creative way. So I really like this one. So I hope you guys found that helpful. If you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Links to all the gear I used and backing track, all that stuff is down in the video description below. Other than that, have yourself a great day.